Hi, welcome back. It is August 1st today. If you haven't caught on yet, with the two hatchlings, I've nicknamed them Dot and No Dot. This is just until I can determine whether they're male or female, and then they'll get more appropriate names. Dot is the one that has a dot and a marking right behind her head, and No Dot has no dot there. 2 days ago, Dot shed. So I collected Dot's shed skin already. That's right here. And it was convenient that Dot actually shed before No Dot did, because since they did it on separate days, I could collect all of Dot's skin and know that it was definitely Dot's. What's interesting is that Dot was the second one out by about 8 hours. I would have thought maybe they'd shed at the same time, but if one was going to go before the other, I thought it'd be the first one out of the eggs. It wasn't. And then it was actually the next day, though early in the morning, that No Dot decided to shed. That skin is right here. I've been letting it dry out. Now it's time to collect. But now that Dot and No Dot have both shed their skin, that means it's time to separate them. They have been adorable roommates. They are often snuggling next to each other. But the thing is, and the reason why they have to be separated, once they've shed their skin, they are now going to start thinking about food. They're hungry. Got it. And when it comes to ball pythons in general, I think they are an ideal large snake for the pet trade because, primarily, how docile they are. If you saw part 1, you saw me do probably Vayla's least favorite thing I've ever done to her, remove her from her eggs. And she didn't even try to strike at me. I think that bears a strong testament to just how truly docile this species is. Even so, that's a little bit different when they're hatchlings. When they're hatchlings, they can be a little bit more aggressive. They have to be. In nature, it's rough for a hatchling ball python. You got lots of things that would love to eat you. And what's your line of defense? Well, us Americans, we call them ball pythons because of that line of defense of balling up, trying to hide their head and just hoping to be camouflaged. But still, that's not always that great when you're a small little thing. That's just like a nice protein to gobble up. So another thing that they will often try to do is be a bit more aggressive and a bit more nippy at something that's trying to disturb it. When it comes to natural predators, they don't necessarily have an instinctual knowledge as to which snakes are venomous and which aren't. So if a snake is nipping at you, that's still a threat that it might be venomous. A lot of those animals will have an instinct to stay away. And so it's just a little bit smarter for a hatchling to be a little bit more aggressive. In addition to that, they got to eat something. And so they are very opportunistic at this stage of life. Now their primary diet is still rodents, and definitely for these guys, really small rodents. But that being said, they are nippy. And if I keep them together, even though they look like nice cozy roommates, there is still a chance that because of one moving this way or that, one might nip at the other, and that could cause them a health problem. So I want to do it for their safety. Today it's time to separate them. So I gotta get another terrarium set up, very similar to this one. So, let's set that up. Booyah! There we go. So now that's done, I'm going to transfer them now. But also, I noticed something while they were shedding. You see, when No Dot was shedding, I happened to walk in on her while she was doing it. And I handled her a little bit to try to help her out of her skin. While I was doing that, I noticed something that at first kind of freaked me out. It was the umbilical scar. Snakes too have umbilical cords. It's just that umbilical cord goes to the yolk. And from there, the yolk supplies all of the nutrients to help build the snake inside the egg. And that part of their stomach has to fuse together. And so it was a little pink, and at first I was worried, but it's actually a normal thing. So let me show you that first. Let me show you No Dot's umbilical scar, so you can see what that looks like. It almost looks like just one snake, doesn't it? But yeah, they like to cozy up next to each other. They're hanging on to each other. Siblings. Okay. Okay, so here's No Dot. And if I show you her belly, it is a lot less pink than it was before, but you can see that umbilical scar going right through here. I took some photos of the umbilical scar the night that I noticed it, and already this is way less pink. Check out this compared to what I saw the night that I was checking out their umbilical scars for the first time. Here is No Dot's umbilical scar. See how pink that was? Now you can see it's a lot less pink. There you are, girl. You can go explore. Don't worry, your sibling is right next door. Okay, so now let me show you Dot. You miss your sibling? Okay, so now let me show you with Dot the umbilical scar. When I saw No Dot's, I wanted to check out Dot, see how his looked. This also already looks way less pink than it did before. Goes from pretty much this pinky finger down to this thumb here. But do you see what I see? Right here, up at the top of it, there's this bulge on Dot's left side. Right side from the underbelly, but left side for Dot. And this does look like some type of defect. Let me show you a little bit closer. So right there, that's not a normal fusion. You can also see that there's a little bit of a protrusion out on Dot's left. Once I saw it, it's now a lot more apparent too, even from the top side, that there's a little bit sticking out there. It feels just a little bit stiff. I don't want to press too hard. But is that a concern? I don't really know. It's abnormal. Will it cause Dot any problems? Now the thing is too, Dot moves just fine. Active, able to slither, no problems. So that's a good thing. So what's this mean for Dot? Well, first, let's talk about why it happened. Could it be something due to parthenogenesis? It could. But also, defects like this, while it could be something genetic, it could also be how the egg developed, how the embryo inside of it developed. Could have been during that humidity problem that we had back in part 3. It's tough to say. I probably will never know the answer. But does that mean that the bulge is going to pose any problems for Dot? Well, the thing is, and for both of them this is true, we are still needing to see them eat. You see, when it comes to the fusion of what happens underneath the belly, that's getting all the organs in the right place and making sure they're going to be able to function. And we don't know that everything's good until we see them eat and poop. So that is still potentially the last hurdle that we have to get over to make sure that these are healthy pythons. And that's what the next video is going to show you too. I've heard of people feeding right after they shed. I've also heard of some who feed even before they shed, which I've heard that's not a good idea. Just throwing that out there. But some people like to wait a few more days after they shed just because they're a little bit hungrier, they're going to take to the food even better. So in a couple of days, in the next video that we shoot, we'll be feeding them and seeing how that goes. And does that bulge pose Dot any problems? Hey, if it's just a little imperfection in how she looks, then, who cares? It just means she needs a little bit more love. But if it means also that's an area where organs didn't go together in the right spot, that could potentially be a problem for her. So yeah, I have that concern again. We'll see. Alright. Thanks for checking this out. See you next time.